Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 12th of May. Apparently it's Florence Nightingale's birthday today. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which looks as though it's in a mid-move consolidation above the 50-day moving average, which is not rising yet, but when it does, we'll be looking very good indeed. In the meantime, we've got support there from that 50-day line and the old pre-tariff breakdown level, 84.80. 200-day line's also rising, and we've also had minor dip or rebound above the neutral 50 level in the RSI window. So looking for end of day close above that neckline resistance 86.10. And if we get that, actually not really looking for anything before the 9,000 level and that 1 year resistance line projection from last year. I suppose there is resistance from the previous peaks back in March, but let's go for the full fat move up to 9,000 while we're above the 50-day line, 84.83. Moving along to the DAX, which has also already gone to record highs, which doesn't quite fit the mainstream media narrative, but we're heading towards that 24,300 level and looking for that certainly while we're above 23,500, which we are well above at the moment. You can see also we've gapped higher. Again, that's the third or fourth gap we've had since we had the tariff rug pull. RSI at 68, so not yet overbought, but getting there. But I would have thought that the top of that rising trend channel from March last year should be a magnet for the for the index rather, whatever happens. Moving along to the Dow, and here the situation is that we're marooned between the 50-day line and the 200-day moving average. That's the range for the moment. Looking for the 200-day line there at 42,200, while we're above the 50-day moving average at 41,250. In terms of what the outlook is for today is concerned, we should see a move towards that 200-day line if we echo what we're seeing in the other markets. At the moment, Wall Street called to be up at 42,120, which would be not too far away from that 200-day moving average. RSI's bounced at neutral 50 as well, so that is a positive, even though Friday's price action was a bit of a damp squib. Moving on to Bitcoin, where the excitement is palpable here, up to 104,000. In fact, we went up to 105,700. Not too far off the record highs of 109,000 in January, but actually it's nothing to do with that. It's actually all to do with getting up to 120,000 by the end of this month, which at the moment it looks as though we could do on the basis that obviously we were able to come up with an even bigger move during November. But the other point is we're in a bull flag, which is actually rising, so that happens very rarely. A rising bull flag means that the market is too strong even to consolidate within a range. It just keeps going higher. So looking very, very strong indeed, especially while there's no day close back below recent support at 102,000. Worst case is we've got to test the old resistance, initial May resistance on 98,000, but the shape of that bull flag there really does look as though gives us the impression as though we're heading towards 120,000. In fact, it's quite close to the bull flag type that we had in the second week of November, and you can see that was the one that took us to the high. So be very pleased if we get to 120 by the end of this month. Moving along to gold, and here I suppose the signs are slightly less strong given the ceasefire, the alleged ceasefire in India, Pakistan, and obviously a lessening of geopolitical tensions in Ukraine, Russia. Current situation is that we need this market to stay above 3,300 to give us a 3,800 target by the end of this month. Otherwise, the logical area would be a test of support at 3,200 before a fresh move to the upside. But worst case, so we've got to test that 50-day line at 3,120 before we head higher. The RSI at 56, so still in the buy on dips zone rather than sell in strength situation. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with one which is totally counterintuitive and some people might say mad, but it looks as though the shares of Belluscura have overshot on the downside below the old 0.6 pence support there from earlier, well, back in April. End of day close above 0.6, and we're looking for up to a penny by the end of next month, maybe sooner than that, maybe the end of this month. But everything hinges on closing above 0.6 for Belluscura. End of day close above that gap at 0.68 really would be a very strong buy signal. The other point to note is that the RSI went down to 4 on the recent sell-off, so we really are in the oversold space. Moving on to Catenai, which I think somebody on social media was pointing out is looking rather sexier now than it has for a few days. The reason for saying that is that, anyway, we've had, even on the pullback from 0.85, we've had the RSI remain above neutral 50. Don't think I've ever seen that before. And all we need to do here is have an end of day close above 0.52 to give us the runway back towards the recent record peak of 0.87. We're already off the back of a golden cross, but it's the RSI consolidation above neutral 50, which is very, very strong indeed. On to Cloudbreak, where the shares rose on Friday. Missed the news that Andrew Mail had decided to leave as a director of the company, which is obviously a grievous blow. But here you can see that the shares already turning around even before Mr. Mail decided to leave the party. And we've had basically blue candles there, blue or flat candles there since the 17th of March. So this does look like a turnaround situation. 0.28 the target there, while we're above a recent resistance at 0.12. Looking for 0.28 perhaps as soon as the end of this month, although that might be pushing it. But there is plenty of technical basis for looking for 0.28 by the end of this month. Initial resistance there, 0.17. And I think we haven't been at above the 200-day line since for a year, so it looks quite interesting. On to a couple of stocks which are benefiting from a better stance or better news regarding Russia-Ukraine. First one is Eurasia, where we've got this rising trend channel which keeps on shifting along, but today we actually have gapped up from the floor of the channel, which makes it look as though we've got more chance of following on the move to the upside, assuming a 9 pence target by the end of the next month, while we're above the 4 pence area. If you're cautious, you wait for an end of day close above the 50-day line there at 5 pence and or above the neutral 50 level. We're just above that at the moment intraday. Ferrexpo's next, where I think it was the Times said that the shares went down last week because people were selling the stock, but that's perhaps not quite that helpful. Here we've got a bounce off RSI 50 and off the 50-day moving average, so it looks as though the latest support there around 62 pence in the 50-day line will hold, and we could even get back up to the top of the range at 105 by the end of next month. What would be very nice is if the 50-day line joins the 200-day line and rising, and we'd be in the run-up to a golden cross, so it does look that good. Another favourite of mine is GreenRoc, which is bounced off our old initial target there, 2.45 pence, heading for the next target there around 3.5 and hoping for up to 4.75 pence by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay above the 2.4 pence zone. ITM Power is next, and here, surprise, surprise, we had an announcement, which was a rather big announcement, for a large-scale Asia-Pacific project. It looks as though everyone and their mother was expecting this, as the shares have been rising basically since the middle of last week. The gap higher on the 9th is probably when everyone decided to get in, but we've already had a gap higher over the end, or since the end of April. Current situation is that we managed to hit our first target there at 35.5 pence, and heading rapidly towards 44 pence. The top of the triangle, which was our best case scenario target. Now with the deal out, the cat out of the bag on the deal, looking for as high as 57 pence by the end of next month, while we remain above the old target there at 36 pence. I think last time I said the shares were at in pounds, not in pence, but you get the gist. Moving on to MicroSalt, and here we've had a decent move, which probably means we've got an overdue contract announcement coming up. Here you can see that the shares have been in a rising trend channel, a rather wide one, and we sort of clean things up a bit. You can see that the channel, top of the channel there, heading towards the £1 level, while we're above today's support at 50 pence. So far we've had no announcement on any new contract. We haven't had one for ages, so let's see if we get that over the near term. Moving along to the situation at Metals One, which has been at least the best performer here at the Bulletin Board Heroes this year. It'd be difficult to beat a 7x rally for anything really. So current situation is that above the top of that rising trend channel at 33 pence, we can get that. Looking for 40 pence by the end of this month, and also looks as though this has plenty more gas in the tank in terms of moving higher. On to another stock which has become a personal favourite, which is Mosman, and here, despite the excitement over the weekend, we have backed off, still looking for the shares to remain above the latest gap there, 0.056 above that, looking rather simply for a retest of year highs towards 0.08. On to a stock which has already been given a few punches by the bears, trying to get upset about, or being upset about the share price rise here, but the more that they push, the more it looks as though the shares are actually going higher. Currently we've got support well above the 20 pence level, and we're still looking for 32 to 33 pence at the top of that rising trend channel in place since the company came to market, obviously helped along here by the rise in Bitcoin. So if that goes to 120,000, one would expect Smarter Web to be well above 30 pence over the course of the rest of this month. On to another stock where the smart money is getting involved and has been involved. Here we've got Tiger Royalties. Here we've got a rather simple pattern of a broadening triangle. The minimum on the upside should be 2.2 pence, especially if we can get a decent end of day close above the 200-day moving average, just under 0.12. Bull argument in place while we remain above the 50-day moving average at 0.09. On to the last two. First one is Vast, another bear target, which they've got completely wrong, and it's very, very enjoyable. Here you can see we're on our third target. Obviously, the shares called up when the CEO decided to put €500,000 into the company at 0.1 pence in January. Since then, we've had 0.22, then 0.29, and then 0.47 as targets. Above 0.47, we're looking for the shares to hit the top of the range at 0.7 pence, hopefully by the end of this month, and that will deliver a decent pie in the face to the bears with their crackpot views. Moving on to the last stock, and that is Venture Life, which rather against the odds has actually hit the top of the channel that we were looking for. I'm not quite sure how or why we were looking for the shares to get up to that 54 pence level, but high today actually 57 pence. So there we are. We backed off a bit. I suppose one could raise the top of the channel there towards 60 pence, but at least the point has been made. And the thing now really is to see how far they retrace, ideally no lower than 46 pence after today's excellent news. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.